did you want to be a part of Oprah's Lifeclass?
I wanted to be a part of Oprah's Lifeclass because she's the only one who can actually make what I've said all these years accessible to all the people in the world. Also make it simpler and more meaningful and practical. So, and I've been friends with Oprah for a long time, so this was a great opportunity.
So I was just doing some reading about you. You're an MD?
I'm an MD. My training is in internal medicine and endocrinology, which is hormones, and then neuroendocrinology, which is brain chemistry. And so you take this very, very Western medicine and combine it with more traditional healing? Well, the way it started was that when I was training, we were identifying molecules that everyone talks about these days. Serotonin, dopamine, opiates, oxytocin. Now we know that these molecules are actually molecules of emotion, and that they also are immunomodulators. They modulate the activity of the immune system. So whatever happens in your emotional life, in your spiritual life, in your mental life, has a consequence in your brain. It changes the chemistry of your brain, and these chemicals have receptors in other parts of the body. So your immune cells, for example, respond to these chemicals. In other words, you cannot separate your mental, your spiritual, your emotional life from what's happening in your brain or in your body. And so we're now seeing a very scientific connection or basis for what we call body, mind, spirit, and how that influences everything from personal relationships to social interactions to how we treat the environment to how we interact in communities. So your life, which includes your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, your social well-being, your community well-being, your physical well-being, your spiritual well-being, is all inseparably connected. And that's what great Eastern wisdom traditions have always said. Now we see a scientific basis for that. So that's where I came in. Came from an Eastern tradition. I was trained in a Western model. And I see the connection, as others do too.
Do you think that, I'm from LA, and so it's not a stretch for me. I'm off to acupuncture, and nobody bats an eye. But do you think that all of America is ready for this, or where do you find some pushback on the wellness part of things as opposed to just treating illness?
No, I think America and the world is ready. Otherwise, we'll go bankrupt financially. Everything we do today in mechanistic medicine is literally treating the symptoms and never the origins of illness. Today we know for a fact that your brain is plastic. There's a new science called neuroplasticity, which means by changing your habits of thinking, behavior, lifestyle, you can change the form and structure of your brain. There's a new science called genetic modulation, which means even though you have 23,000 genes, 65% are the same as a banana, but you're not a banana. Okay, 84% of your genes is the same as a mouse. Almost 99% of your genes are the same as a monkey. So what's the difference? The difference is how you turn these genes on and modulate them or turn them off. And we now know that you can do that by, again, how you live your life. If you have good sleep, if you have loving relationships, nurturing relationships, if you eat a reasonably good diet, if you exercise, if you do yoga and meditation and breathing techniques, and essentially if you have a good time, if you really enjoy yourself, if your life is full of joy and love and compassion and equanimity, you transform yourself physically and you transform the world. The only way you can change the world is by being the change you want to see in the world. So those who are not ready for it, they are frozen in an obsolete worldview that's collapsing.
How would you you know, like raising kids and stuff. You know, I'm looking down the barrel of a teenager here, and you know, and they're active and they eat well, but it's like, so how do you tell a 13-year-old, listen, you have to go inward?
First of all, you never tell anybody anything. Okay, especially your children. Okay, they'll won't listen to what you say. Your children will never listen to what you say, but they will mirror your neurons, especially when they're in the first 3 years of life. That's when you influence them. Teenagers might be a little late, or you have a chance, but not the same as when you had a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
A 3-year-old, or even a 1-year-old, or even a 6-month-old watches the following things: your eye movements, your body language, your facial expressions, your gestures, your posture, and basically reads your emotional and spiritual awareness. Are you contracted? Are you expanded? Are you at one? And infant can do that. So if you want to influence your children, you have to be the example. And you have to represent that not by artificially manipulating your body language, but by being that expanded awareness. And if you are that, your child will never have a problem, even when they are teenagers.
So far, so good.
Hi, Deepak. You have a question?
Yes, actually. First of all, it's an honor to meet
Thank
you.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Nice to meet you.
I write a blog called The Single Woman, and it's basically looking at the positive aspects of single life, because I feel like there's a lot of negative connotations out there about being a single woman at a certain age in your late 20s and 30s. So I think a lot of women have, they sort of surrender their power because they think that they're out there looking for a better half. What would you say to them to inspire them to really enjoy their single life and to pursue finding themselves as opposed to finding a mate?
I think you have to ask yourself what's really important. If you think your happiness comes from someone else, including a mate, then you're really not seeking true happiness. Your happiness comes from within. If you are a happy person, then you enjoy good health because you make the right choices. You enjoy success because you're not coming from a place of anxiety. And you enjoy healthy relationships. Now, it may turn out that one of those relationships may end up in your being in that relationship for a long time. But that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be, how do I find fulfillment within myself? And if you do, that'll ensure to a great extent the measure of your success, the quality of your relationships, and also your health and well-being, which is what is important.
Thank you.
Hi, Deepak. Looking forward to the new book. Thank you for giving us copies of it.
Thank you.
So as you know, Positively Positive is our website, and we have over 1 million fans, and many of them are big fans of yours. So if they're looking to be inspired, empowered to live to their highest and fullest potential, and these days that can be tough for many. So if you have one message to spread to our audience of over 1 million fans who are looking for something and searching for something right now at this point in time, what would it be?
I would say right now, close your eyes, put your attention in your heart, and ask yourself, what kind of world do you want to live in? And then have a vision for that kind of world, and then ask yourself, how can I make that happen myself? How can I be an agent of change? How can I create the world? And the only way I can do it is being the change that I want to see in the words of Mahatma Gandhi.
You say, I am Deepak Chopra and I'm positively positive.
My name is Deepak Chopra. I'm not Deepak Chopra. And I am positively positive most of the time.
That's the best one I've ever heard.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Hey Deepak,
Hey.
my name's Mastin, and my blog is called The Daily Love. And our philosophy is that everyone, thought leader and intern, is both a teacher and a student. And I was having, actually I had the privilege of having dinner with Louise Hay about a week and a half ago, and I was talking to her about this philosophy, and she said that everyone comes to teach what they need to learn themselves. So my question for you is, with all the amazing change and inspiration you've brought the world, what inside you was seeking what to create this expression? What do you think you came to learn so that you could teach it?
Well, my training was as a medical doctor, and I saw a lot of suffering. I saw a lot of people afraid of death. I saw a lot of self-inflicted suffering. I used to also work in an emergency room where I saw people very rapidly go from anger into denial, into resignation, into helplessness, and into death in the midst of a heart attack. And this is the time where, when I was extremely busy as an internist, I was also teaching in medical school, and I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and I was totally stressed out, but not only because I had to take care of these people who were suffering, but their families as well. And I realized that I wasn't the best example. So that's when I started my personal journey, and as I embarked on it, I realized that, this is something I could teach other people as well. But it started with my own personal transformation.
That's awesome. What would you say the awareness was from going from, smoking 2 packs a day and being busy to, walking this path now? Like, what was there, like a moment?
Well,
you can remember?
It takes a long time for a fruit to ripen, and then one day it falls. So
yeah.
I was thinking about it, ruminating about it all the time. And then one day we had what you call a very serious patient in the cardiac care unit. We had to resuscitate the patient, do CPR, put him on a ventilator, put in a pacemaker.
Wow.
And as soon as we finished that, I went outside and had a cigarette. That was the moment I said,
whoa, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
What advice do you have for people that just can't get started, that just can't kickstart this journey?
I would say just question how you spend your time. I divide the day into several kinds of time. There's sleep time, there's playtime, there's time to create, there's time where you do nothing, you have no agenda, downtime. There's relationship time, there's work time. You question your relationship with time, and then you will have spontaneously the insight into what you're doing wrong. And listen to your body. Your body gives you messages all the time. It says, I'm happy, I'm feeling pleasure, I'm in pain, I'm in suffering. So your body is the perfect feedback mechanism. It eavesdrops on the cosmos. So if you listen to your body, you'll read the mind of God.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
We write a blog called Pop Culture Fashionistas, and we like to find out from people, what are you most passionate about?
What am I most passionate about? Most passionate about, other than my little grandkids, I am most passionate about learning more than anything else. I'm curious about everything. The origins of the universe to what makes people happy.
What would you, I'm just going to go selfish on this one. What would you say to somebody with like a chronic illness? Like I have RA, and to a degree, arthritis, you sleep more, less impact.
I think in
better
any
food.
chronic illness, you
Yeah.
will see there are connections between your emotional well-being and your physical well-being. There's a relationship. Most chronic illnesses, whether it's RA or multiple sclerosis or chronic coronary artery disease or degenerative disorders. What we're discovering these days is that diseases like RA and many others, especially inflammatory illnesses, are somehow connected to inflammatory emotions, repression of rage or anger or some past trauma. So other than looking at the usual things, meditation, massage, there are these days a lot of herbal and vitamin combinations that are called adaptogens. They make your body adapt to stress. There's one that I'm involved with Harvard neuroscientist, Rudy Tanzi. It's called endorphin. It modulates the effects of endorphin in the brain. But there are many other adaptogens. You should Google the word adaptogen when you have time. But then also consider what you're holding back from the past.
Deepak, I'm a dad, and I have a 5.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So I know you touched upon with children prior to the age of 3. But once they're beyond 3, are there any tips and tools as a dad that I can do with them to,
The most important thing you can
build
do
that
with your
foundation.
5-year-olds, here are some things you can do with your 5-year-olds. Play with them, number 1. Tell them stories, number 2. I used to tell my kids stories, and then every night I used to leave them at what is called a cliffhanger and tell them to complete the stories, and then have them tell me the stories every day. Treat them as equals, ask their opinion. And that's the way you bond with your 5-year-old, and that's when they'll listen to you.
Great advice. Thank you.
So I think I have a question. How do you write so many books so quickly?
I'm compulsive, obsessive, and neurotic.
Awesome.
Sound like great assets.
Sounds like a positive use of those traits.
Yeah, I ask myself, how can I put my obsessive qualities to use instead of smoking cigarettes?
Totally.
Something more useful.
It's like the Beatles, man. They just were cranking out albums. You just
They
crank
were
out
friends of
books.
mine, by the way.
That's amazing.
George Harrison and I traveled all over India together.
Wow.
We had a lot of fun.
That
What's
is
your
amazing.
greatest memory of that, of being with George?
My greatest memory is we did a hallucinogenic drug together in Rajasthan. I don't know if you want to tell everybody that. It was a lot of fun.
All right, so Twitter's asking for 3 practical steps for stress reduction.
3 practical steps. One is whenever you feel stressed, use the formula STOP. S-T-O-P. S stands for literally stop. O, observe what's happening in your body. T, take a deep breath and smile inside. And P, proceed with kindness and compassion. That's the best thing you can do anytime you feel stressed. Meditation is a good way to tackle stress, and there are many other things. Watch a funny movie, go to a comedy, listen to music, get a massage, practice visualization, make someone else happy. I could go on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Excited about today?
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.